Exodus chapter 20. Then God spoke all these words: I am the Lord your God. I brought you out of the land of Egypt where you were slaves. You must not have any other gods except me. You must not make for yourselves any idols. Don't make something that looks like anything in the sky above, or on the earth below, or in the water below the land. You must not worship or serve any idol. This is because I, the Lord your God, am a jealous God. A person may sin against me and hate me. I will punish his children, even his grandchildren and great-grandchildren. But I will be very kind to thousands who love me and obey my commands. You must not use the name of the Lord your God thoughtlessly. The Lord will punish anyone who is guilty and misuses his name. Remember to keep the Sabbath as a holy day. You may work and get everything done during 6 days each week. But the seventh day is a day of rest to honor the Lord your God. On that day no one may do any work, not you, your son or daughter, nor your men or women slaves, neither your animals nor the foreigners living in your cities may work. The reason is that in 6 days the Lord made everything. He made the sky, earth, sea, and everything in them. And on the seventh day he rested. So the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and made it holy. Honor your father and your mother. Then you will live a long time in the land. The Lord your God is going to give you this land. You must not murder anyone. You must not be guilty of adultery. You must not steal. You must not tell lies about your neighbor in court. You must not want to take your neighbor's house. You must not want his wife or his men or women slaves. You must not want his ox or his donkey. You must not want to take anything that belongs to your neighbor. The people heard the thunder and the trumpet. They saw the lightning on the mountain and smoke rising from the mountain. They shook with fear and stood far away from the mountain. Then they said to Moses, Speak to us yourself, then we will listen, but don't let God speak to us, or we will die. Then Moses said to the people, Don't be afraid. God has come to test you. He wants you to respect him, so you will not sin. The people stood far away from the mountain while Moses went near the dark cloud where God was. Then the Lord told Moses to say these things to the Israelites. You yourselves have seen that I talked with you from heaven. You must not use gold or silver to make idols for yourselves. You must not worship these false gods in addition to me. Make an altar of dirt for me. Offer your whole burnt offerings and fellowship offerings on this altar as a sacrifice to me. Use your sheep and your cattle to do this. Worship me in every place that I choose. Then I will come and bless you. You may use stones to make an altar for me, but don't use stones that you have made smooth with tools. You must not use any tools on the stones. If you do, you make them unsuitable for use in worship. And you must not make steps leading up to my altar. If you go up steps, people will be able to see under your clothes. Luke 23. Then the whole group stood up and led Jesus to Pilate. They began to accuse Jesus. They told Pilate, We caught this man telling things that were confusing our people. He says that we should not pay taxes to Caesar. He calls himself the Christ, a king. Pilate asked Jesus, Are you the king of the Jews? Jesus answered, Yes, that is right. Pilate said to the leading priests and the people, I find nothing wrong with this man. They said again and again, But Jesus is making trouble with the people. He teaches all around Judea. He began in Galilee, and now he is here. Pilate heard this and asked if Jesus was from Galilee. If so, Jesus was under Herod's authority. Herod was in Jerusalem at that time, so Pilate sent Jesus to him. When Herod saw Jesus, he was very glad. He had heard about Jesus and had wanted to meet him for a long time. Herod was hoping to see Jesus work a miracle. Herod asked Jesus many questions, but Jesus said nothing. The leading priests and teachers of the law were standing there. They were shouting things against Jesus. Then Herod and his soldiers made fun of Jesus. They dressed him in a kingly robe and then sent him back to Pilate. In the past, Pilate and Herod had always been enemies, but on that day they became friends. Pilate called all the people together with the leading priests and the Jewish leaders. He said to them, "You brought this man to me. You said that he was making trouble among the people, but I have questioned him before you all, and I have not found him guilty of the things you say. Also, Herod found nothing wrong with him. He sent him back to us. Look, he has done nothing for which he should die. So after I punish him, I will let him go free." Every year at the Passover feast, Pilate had to release one prisoner to the people. But all the people shouted, "Kill him! Let Barabbas go free!" Barabbas was a man who was in prison because he started a riot in the city. He was guilty of murder. Pilate wanted to let Jesus go free, so he told this to the crowd. But they shouted again, "Kill him! Kill him on a cross!" A third time Pilate said to them, "Why? What wrong has he done? I can find no reason to kill him, so I will have him punished and set him free." But they continued to shout. They demanded that Jesus be killed on the cross. Their yelling became so loud that Pilate decided to give them what they wanted. They wanted Barabbas to go free, the man who was in jail for starting a riot and for murder. Pilate let Barabbas go free and gave Jesus to them to be killed. The soldiers led Jesus away. At that time, there was a man coming into the city from the fields. His name was Simon, and he was from the city of Cyrene. The soldiers forced Simon to carry Jesus' cross and walk behind him. A large crowd of people was following Jesus. Some of the women were sad and crying, but Jesus turned and said to them, "Women of Jerusalem, don't cry for me. Cry for yourselves and for your children too. The time is coming when people will say, 'Happy are the women who cannot have children. Happy are the women who have no babies to nurse.' Then people will say to the mountains, 'Fall on us,' and they will say to the hills, 'Cover us.' If they act like this now when life is good, what will happen when bad times come?" There were also 2 criminals led out with Jesus to be killed. Jesus and the 2 criminals were taken to a place called the Skull. There the soldiers nailed Jesus to his cross. They also nailed the criminals to their crosses, one beside Jesus on the right and the other beside Jesus on the left. Jesus said, "Father, forgive them. They don't know what they are doing." The soldiers threw lots to decide who would get his clothes. The people stood there watching. The leaders made fun of Jesus. They said, "If he is God's chosen one, the Christ, then let him save himself. He saved other people, didn't he?" Even the soldiers made fun of him. They came to Jesus and offered him some vinegar. They said, "If you are the King of the Jews, save yourself." At the top of the cross, these words were written, "This is the King of the Jews." One of the criminals began to shout insults at Jesus. "Aren't you the Christ? Then save yourself and save us too." But the other criminal stopped him. He said, "You should fear God. You are getting the same punishment as he is. We are punished justly. We should die. But this man has done nothing wrong." Then this criminal said to Jesus, "Jesus, remember me when you come into your kingdom." Then Jesus said to him, "Listen, what I say is true. Today you will be with me in paradise." It was about noon, and the whole land became dark until 3 o'clock in the afternoon. There was no sun. The curtain in the temple was torn into 2 pieces. Jesus cried out in a loud voice, "Father, I give you my life." After Jesus said this, he died. The army officer there saw what happened. He praised God, saying, "I know this was a good man." Many people had gathered there to watch this thing. When they saw what happened, they returned home. They beat their chests because they were so sad. Those who were close friends of Jesus were there. Some were women who had followed Jesus from Galilee. They all stood far away from the cross and watched. A man from the Jewish town of Arimathea was there too. His name was Joseph. He was a good religious man. He wanted the kingdom of God to come. Joseph was a member of the Jewish council. But he had not agreed when the other leaders decided to kill Jesus. Joseph went to Pilate to ask for the body of Jesus. So Joseph took the body down from the cross and wrapped it in cloth. Then he put Jesus' body in a tomb that was cut in a wall of rock. This tomb had never been used before. This was late on Preparation Day. When the sun went down, the Sabbath day would begin. The women who had come from Galilee with Jesus followed Joseph. They saw the tomb and saw inside where the body of Jesus was laid. Then the women left to prepare perfumes and spices. On the Sabbath day they rested, as the law of Moses commanded. Job 38. Then the Lord answered Job from the storm. He said, "Who is this that makes my purpose unclear, by saying things that are not true? Be strong like a man. I will ask you questions, and you must answer me. Where were you when I made the earth's foundation? Tell me, if you understand. Who marked off how big it should be? Surely you know. What were the earth's foundations set on? Or who put its cornerstone in place? Who did all this while the morning stars sang together? Who did this while the angels shouted with joy? Who shut the doors to keep the sea in when it broke through and was born? This was when I made the clouds like a coat for the sea, and I wrapped the sea in dark clouds. It was when I put limits on the sea, and I put its doors and bars in place. It was when I said to the sea, "You may come this far, but no farther." This is where your proud waves must stop. Have you ever given orders for morning to begin? Or have you shown the dawn where its place was? The dawn takes hold of earth by its edges and shakes evil people out of it. At dawn the earth changes like clay being pressed by a seal. The hills and valleys stand out like folds in a coat. Light is not given to evil people. Their arm is raised to do harm, but it is broken. Have you ever gone to where the sea begins? Or have you walked in the valleys under the sea? Have the gates of death been opened to you? Or have you seen the gates of the deep darkness? Do you understand the great width of the earth? Tell me if you know all these things. What is the path to light's home? And where does darkness live? Can you take them to their places? Do you know the way to their homes? Surely you know, if you were already born when all this happened. Have you lived that many years? Have you ever gone into the storehouse where snow is kept? Or have you seen the storehouses for hail? I save the snow and hail for times of trouble. I save them for days of war and battle. How do you get to the place where light comes from? Or where is the place from which the east winds are scattered over the earth? Who cuts a waterway for the heavy rains? And who sets a path for the thunderstorm to follow? Who waters the land where no one lives? Who waters the desert that has no one in it? Who sends rain to satisfy the empty land so the grass begins to grow? Does the rain have a father? Who is father to the drops of dew? Who is the mother of the ice? Who gives birth to the frost from the sky. The waters become hard as stone. Even the surface of the deep ocean is frozen. Can you tie up the stars of the Pleiades? Can you loosen the ropes of the stars in Orion? Can you bring out the stars at the right times? Or can you lead out the stars of the bear with its cubs? Do you know the laws of the sky? Can you understand their rule over the earth? Can you shout an order to the clouds and cover yourself with a flood of water? Can you send lightning bolts on their way? Do the flashes of lightning report to you and say, "Here we are"? Who put wisdom inside the mind? Or who put understanding in the heart? Who has the wisdom to count the clouds? Who can pour water from the jars of heaven? Who can do this when the dust becomes hard and the clumps of dirt stick together? Do you hunt food for the female lion to satisfy the hunger of the young lions? Do you hunt for them while they lie in their dens or hide in the bushes waiting to attack? Who gives food to the birds when their young cry out to God, and who gives them food when they wander about without any? 2 Corinthians 8. And now, brothers, we want you to know about the grace that God gave the churches in Macedonia. They have been tested by great troubles, and they are very poor, but they gave much because of their great joy. I can tell you that they gave as much as they were able. They gave even more than they could afford. No one told them to do it, but they asked us again and again. They begged us to let them share in this service for God's people. And they gave in a way that we did not expect. They first gave themselves to the Lord and to us. This is what God wants. So we ask Titus to help you finish the special work of grace. He is the one who started this work. You are rich in everything, in faith, in speaking, in knowledge, in truly wanting to help, and in the love you learned from us. And so we want you to be rich also in this gift of giving. I'm not commanding you to give, but I want to see if your love is true love. I do this by showing you that others really want to help. You know the grace of our Lord Jesus Christ. You know that Christ was rich, but for you he became poor. Christ did this so that by his being poor, you might become rich. This is what I think you should do. Last year, you were the first to want to give, and you were the first who gave. So now finish the work that you started. Then your doing will be equal to your wanting to do. Give from what you have. If you want to give, your gift will be accepted. Your gift will be judged by what you have, not by what you do not have. We do not want you to have troubles while other people are at ease. We want everything to be equal. At this time you have plenty. What you have can help others who are in need. Then later, when they have plenty, they can help you when you are in need. Then all will be equal. As it is written in the scriptures, the person who gathered more did not have too much. The person who gathered less did not have too little. I thank God because he gave Titus the same love for you that I have. Titus accepted what we asked him to do. He wanted very much to go to you. This was his own idea. We are sending with him the brother who is praised by all the churches. This brother is praised because of his service in preaching the good news. Also, this brother was chosen by the churches to go with us when we deliver this gift of money. We are doing this service to bring glory to the Lord and to show that we really want to help. We are being careful so that no one will criticize us about the way we are handling this large gift. We are trying to do what is right. We want to do what the Lord accepts as right and also what people think is right. Also, we are sending with them our brother who is always ready to help. He has proved this to us in many ways, and he wants to help even more now because he has much faith in you. Now about Titus, he is my partner who is working with me to help you. And about the other brothers, They are sent from the churches and they bring glory to Christ. So show these men that you really have love. Show them why we are proud of you. Then all the churches can see it.